Hey guys. All right, let's see if I can bring in Katya. um, Guest requests. Yeah, beautiful. So I think you can just request to join. Katya, can you guys hear me okay? Are you here now, doll? So we're on talking about midlife with Katya. Midlife with Katya is the name of her business page, her group. And now I've got the lighting problem because I had to turn the lighting off. All right. Yes, beautiful. So I can allow her in. Bring it. Yay. Okay. So that was very weird because on the laptop that didn't. Um, and this may also. Yay. Oh, finally. I don't know why. I'll have to practice that on the laptop, but I could not see how to bring you on as a chat or a guest. Very strange. I thought it would be a big red button.
One would hope that Facebook would make it a big red button though, hey?
Can you think, like, for people like myself that need the big red button that says, you know, here, do it here? Oh, sorry. Hello, lovely lady. So
Hello.
I was waffling on before talking about you, trying to do a little bit of an introduction about all the good things that you do and that we work together already on the Self-Care Summit, and the fact that we work together. You as my coach, as my energy clearing lady who clears my head and my body, and a little bit about the fact that you do circles with women as a facilitator, and that you have made some amazing discoveries about that midlife is actually a thing, and that's not something we just kick under the rug and forget about, and that it's also has stages. It actually has stages that are very clear of how we move through midlife, and that it does get to be easy, and that take the mystery out of it a little bit. So I would love to hear, I guess, what started this for you and where this became super obvious for you. But if you would like to do your own little intro, I kind of did it my way, but if you want to explain how this all works for you, or how this has come about for you.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me in your group. It is amazing. I love it. So basically, I am an energy practitioner, a midlife mentor, and a women's circle facilitator. So generally, I work with women. I work with women through midlife, and the reason why I do this is because my journey through midlife was all levels of crap. There are other words I could add there, but I'm being good.
Oh, you're allowed.
You're
allowed to swear if you want to.
Oh, look, it was all levels of crap because, you know, I had the narrative in my head that, you know, I would hit midlife, I would hit menopause, and then your life pretty much fell apart, because that was the narrative that I was shown. So in my own journey over the last, how old's my son? 13. So in the last 10 years, what I've really recognized is that as women, we don't talk about midlife. We don't talk about this transition where our children have grown up, where our children get to a certain age. That might be they start school, that might be that they leave home, that might be that they start high school. It might be that if you have chosen not to have children, then you've got your dream job. And what happens is we get to this point in our lives where we're asking ourselves three main questions. Who am I? How did I get here? And what's next? Because basically our society tells us that we have our children, or we get to this certain point in our lives, generally between 42 and I'm going to say 52, about that age. Now, it could be older, could be younger, but I'm just saying around that age. I don't generally go by ages, but a lot of people like to know. we get to this point in our life and basically our job is done compared to like in society. Our job is done. So we need to look younger. We need to, you know, keep colouring our hair. Nothing wrong with colouring your hair. It is totally okay. We need to look, feel and be a particular way to be valuable to our society. And I call bullshit on it because we have at least another 50 years to live. At least another
what are we going to do in that? What are we going to do in that 50 years? I was thinking there's also one other question. It's like, what the hell just happened? Or what the F just happened? Like you get to this point and go, what was that about? Like, what the hell?
Yeah. And we are. We're standing there saying to ourselves, I don't know how I got here. Now, for me, in my case, it was extreme. Now, that doesn't happen for everybody, but I want you to know that it does happen.
You mean
you will get to this point.
Like emotionally it's hard, like, because this is the thing I talked about before about what you're about. It's not just the physical, it's not just the mental, it's the emotional, it's everything. It's more of a holistic.
It's everything. And what I see is midlife has like, there's 3 shifts. So physically you shift, emotionally or mentally you shift, and energetically you shift. And that's where I sit in the energetic realm. That's where I sit. That's what I work with women through. Because when we can actually shift our energetic frequency, then the other 2 can come with it. Now, can we work them in tandem? Absolutely. But all of this is shifting. So if you can imagine you've brought up your children or you've got this dream job, you've got to this place in your life where you're going, oh, yes, right, I made it. And then what happens is it all starts to crumble. Now, I'm not lying. That's what happens. We get to this place and we go tick, right, done. And it all starts to crumble. We start to see our relationships, not necessarily partnerships, but our relationships start to be different. We start to see that we want more than what we have in this life. But generally that'll show up with, I'm going through the motions, I don't know what else to do. Like this is just, we're on auto.
Yeah. And
Well,
discontent. But you don't know what
absolutely.
You're doing. But you should be happy, right? Because you're lucky.
You should, exactly what we are doing. We should be happy, but we are not. And we are so busy sitting in the shoulds. I love that. I'm going to write that down afterwards. We should be happy. See, I get a little bit passionate about this stuff.
Yeah,
so
no, that's why I love the way you speak. It's just so good. Yeah, because we've all been there where we're grateful. We're lucky. We know we know there's awful things happening in the world. We're in a really good place. But there's also like this underlying current of dissatisfaction. But you're not unhappy. You're not dissatisfied with your lot, but you just feel a bit lost, I think.
You want more. And I think this is where, because if you've grown up in a spiritual environment, you've been told to be grateful for what you have and be grateful and be grateful and be grateful. And you get to this point, and what I want to make it very, very clear here, it's not that you are not grateful. Okay, that's not in question at all. You want more, but asking for more feels like it's wrong. It feels like it's
greedy. We've been told it's
greedy. We've been told. Do you know
we've been told
what I mean? We've been told that it's wrong to ask for more. But I'm telling you, anybody who feels like that, ask for more. Ask for more. Because when we ask for more, we're actually connecting back into ourselves, because we've been about everybody else.
Which is where we get
midlife is
lost.
Yeah, midlife is about coming back to ourselves. It's coming back and connecting into ourselves. And there's 4 pillars that I work with most of my clients and with my membership and all the work that I do. There's the 4 pillars that hold us through that. Connection to self, undoing like stories we hold, the passion for life, because pretty much if you're at that point, your passion for life has left the building, and rhythm and balance. And they all play into it. So if you can imagine you come from the nurturer, which is the mother archetype, if your mother, a maiden mother crone, I just call it the nurturer because to me it's more kinder to those women who don't have children because they're not, yes, they're a nurturer, but to be called a mother can be really unsettling and uncomfortable for them. So if you're coming from the nurture phase where it's about everybody else, so if you can imagine,
that's family, that's work, that's not just about, you know, kids. It's a lot of us have older parents now, which is also difficult, or they've cared for lots of different people in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're walking along this nurturer road and you sort of get to the end of it. So I'm trying to give you a visual.
Yeah.
And then you have this bridge that goes from the nurturer to the wise woman. And this is what I call midlife. This is this in-between bit. And then we have these 4 pillars that hold us to get us across this bridge to bring us to our wise woman. Now, this bridge can take 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. But if you have the pillars, if you have those 4 pillars to hold you, it will always bring you back. It will always bring you back to moving forwards. So with that analogy, that midlife path can be absolutely the most amazing space, but it's not without its challenges, because you're being asked to come back to yourself. You're being asked to put yourself first. Now that in some people's minds could be selfish, but in actual fact it's not. Because the more we connect with ourselves, the more we're there for other people. The more we're available for other people. Because if we're empty, we're going through the motions. We're doing what we have to do. There is no connection at all in that. And who wants to live a life like that? I don't.
And that's when resentment comes into it. You get a bit shitty. You're not doing it with love. You're doing it because you're happy. And you're kind of shitty with everybody about it as well. Yeah,
and that's when you get
awareness. I love the bridge, because before I spoke to you, learnt about this with you and talked to you and have been in your circles for a while now, I don't know, that period of my time was a debacle looking after kids. There wasn't any awareness. I didn't have awareness of what was happening. It's just getting by in survival mode most days. And I think being able to visualize what you just said about the bridge and knowing that there is a path, and that I think we've just forgotten it as a life stage. It technically is a life stage. We go through adolescence. What's next? Like, you don't just
it's midlife.
Yeah, that's right. You don't just go to adulthood, or to old age, or to I don't know what the next stage would be if you didn't have that. So I wasn't aware that there was. You're just going through the motions. You're not aware. So I think your work is really important in showing women that nope, they're not going crazy. That this is a bit tricky. This is hard. It is up and down like a bloody roller coaster, emotionally, physically, in all the ways. And all of a sudden you look around and you're not happy, like you say, relationships, even with, friends drop off and things just change, and you're not even sure what happened, or did you do something different? Probably not. Everything just changes, and you're not even aware that this is a thing, right? And you might, like you said, you tied into a menopause, but that's just part of the process. That's not the actual, it all goes into a big tumble of just swirls around.
It does.
So I think it's the
and there's so many many women out there that are swelling. They're, you know, they're going to the doctors. The doctors are telling them they're fine. Oh, no, you're fine. You're not in menopause yet. Well, yeah, you probably are. But because you don't hit the, I'm having a little rant here. So you don't hit the particular things that they're saying. My doctor told me I wasn't in menopause, and I said, well, actually I am, because I haven't had a period for that time, and this is happening and this is happening. So yes, I am. You know, it's,
well, I don't think they ever spoke about perimenopause, you know, like the pre-menopause before you have menopause. There was no communication about any of that through my last 10, 15, 20 years when I've had children till now. My kids are 18 and 16. There was no conversation. So I don't think they even named it. I don't think it was even a thing that they discussed or understood.
No.
But even if you did have those symptoms, I mean, they're still getting fobbed off a little bit. But I think we're still ahead of our time from maybe where our parents were, where that wasn't even a discussion. We didn't have Facebook and internet where we're sharing information and learning from other women. We didn't have that. So we're hopefully, you know, it'll be hopefully easier and more open for the women before that come after us. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like we are
Absolutely agree.
blazing a trail of some sort, and women have tried to do that for the last probably 20 years.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're getting somewhere, but it's a very slow process.
It's a slow process, but I think as women, sometimes we slow down the process too. Like,
I think we naturally have been shown we've got to slow down. When I think we've talked about this too. It's not that you have to slow down. It's just that you need to do things that light you up, that you're not, you know, slow or doing nothing actually doesn't feel very good. But doing things that actually make you feel happy and joyful and reconnected back into what you want to do and to who you are and all that. So it comes back to the midlife path of the journey of introducing things, I guess. So I mean, maybe you could talk about how, so once you're aware, what would be the next thing that you need to look at to do if you're going to make some changes, or what would you recommend is the thing that you do now? Once you're aware that there is a path and you might be at the start of the journey, the middle of the journey, or, you know, you're going to the wise woman, right? You know, you're going to that, which we've talked about before too, is the fact that it's revered in some countries. The older woman, the midlife woman or the wise woman, like I'm through menopause, so I guess I could be classed as at the wise woman end. They're revered for their knowledge and their wisdom, but we don't do a lot of that here, you know. And so there's what have you discovered about that? Like, you know, what do you think about all that?
So look, if you go back, you know, 200, 300 years, the wise woman was the most important part of the tribe. They were absolutely doted on. They were looked after. They ran the tribe. So what's happened is we've forgotten all of those things. We've forgotten those roots from which we've come from, where these wise women have so much to give. We now have the narrative that you just get old and you're no longer useful. So let's change that, shall we? But I suppose awareness is key. And knowing that what you're going through is normal and it is accepted, and it is something that every single woman walking this earth will go through. So allowing yourself some grace, allowing yourself some time, seeking help, asking for help. Now, whether or not that be through energetic sources, through a naturopath, through alternative healing, all of those are available, and I would encourage you to do that. But find somebody who you resonate with. And I think that is essential here, is finding someone who you resonate with, but also finding someone who understands the midlife journey, because this is not a straight line. This is not a do this, do this, do this. From working with women for the length of time that I have, every single woman's journey is different. Do they have landmarks where they will hit? Absolutely, 100%. But every single woman's journey is different. And that is why it needs to be adaptable to each and every woman. Because what I do for, say, you as a client is different to what I do for another client. Because you have different stories that you hold. So everybody will have different stories. So basically, when I'm saying stories, I'm talking about the beliefs, and I suppose you could call it mindset. I specifically don't like that word. That's why I call it stories. The stories that we hold that tells us something is a particular way. So, for instance, I held a story that I didn't like passion fruits, that I actually don't like them. Because I remember my mum telling me that no, passion fruits don't taste very nice. They're really horrible. They're really tart, all of that sort of stuff. So I told myself I never liked passion fruit. Now, I know this sounds like a silly story, but you'll get my point. I had a passion fruit probably about 6 months ago, and I went, oh my God, they're really nice. And I couldn't get enough of them. But I had held that story so tightly that every time I tried it, I went, ooh, I don't like it. But when I allowed myself to go, hang on a minute, is this my story? Is this something that I'm holding that is actually true inside of myself? And I went, no, actually it's not. I'm going to try it.
It's
So
interesting that stories often come from someone else.
Correct.
They've been given to us.
Generally.
We've been told them, and then we've
Exactly.
believed them, right?
Yes.
So it's a very important part of unraveling some of the things that's holding us back, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah. And our stories will generally come from other people, or they are stories that we have created within ourselves. So, a story could be that I'm not financially safe. That could be a story that I hold. Now, that could have come from past people, but that also could be a society story that as a woman, I am not allowed to earn a certain amount of money. Now, I know that sounds really old, but I'm just using it as an example. So because I'm not supposed to earn a certain amount of money, I can hold that story. Is that true? I'm not really sure. So you can still be not quite sure whether that story is true. It could be true because I've created that story within my body and given it life.
Yeah.
As soon as I choose not to, it's like, oh, hang on a minute. No, I'm right now. So it can be really simple, but this is where the challenge can come in. The challenge can come in around the stories we hold. It can come in around connection to ourselves. And we will also, as nurturers, have a story that we cannot put ourselves first. Because if we put ourselves first, that is selfish, that is self-centered. Oh, I'm going to become one of those.
Who else is going to do it? I think I've heard myself say that. Who else is going to do it if I don't do it? Yeah.
But we don't give anyone else the option to try either.
Yeah.
So where to start can get really messy, but awareness is key.
Yeah.
Awareness is the place to start. I've got a few downloadables that you could certainly have a look at. I have a self-care journal, which is $27, which you could sort of start there. Like there's many places you can start. I'm open for people messaging me if they want to have a chat and all of those sort of things. But seek support and don't
ignore it.
I shouldn't say don't do it on your own. It's not about don't do it on your own, but talk about it.
Yeah. I think the fact that we thought that wasn't a thing, I think that's an important thing that has changed, that this is a thing. You are feeling a certain way. You're not to be fobbed off.
No.
You're not to be, and you don't ignore it yourself, because unfortunately we just get on with our day or get on with our world, and we don't have time to deal. So, or we're not ready to deal, and so we ignore it, and it doesn't actually go away. Those feelings don't go away.
no. And if you do what I do and pretend that it's not there for at least 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll get you. Yeah. It'll come
Oh,
out.
yeah.
It'll come out. Yeah.
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 And so
Bye
was
for
there
minimum.
anything, sorry, Dal, was there anything that because you do work with different women and you also have your women's circles, and I know you do journal, you're a big fan of journaling, which is why you created the journal book that you
Yes.
provide. Is there any particular thing that stands out that is sort of in common with women? Like, have you found that midlife women, apart from not being aware, is there anything obvious to you that sort of comes through every time that you just want them to know that, apart from the fact it's not abnormal, and that they can actually, it's not a life sentence, they can feel better, right? So I think that's
Yes.
important to know, that this isn't something they've got to put up with. They can feel better. They can do something about, they do have control. They can do something about their day,
Correct.
their routines, their health, their mindset. You can actually change a lot of things yourself.
Yeah.
But is there anything that kind of you've found as a bigger sort of obstacle in midlife for most women that you see every time and time again? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're asking?
Yeah. It's their connection to themselves.
Yeah.
That's every single time.
So we've lost
and if it's
who we are, do you think?
It's not that we've lost who we are. We've lost the connection with ourselves and who we are. That's why those first 3 questions of who am I, how did I get here, and what's next?
And what we
they're the
we
3
don't know what
questions.
we want, do you think?
We don't have time to think. I think what we want is further down the track.
Right,
I think
we haven't got that far.
in this particular moment, we have lost ourselves. Like, we've completely lost ourselves in life. We're just doing life. We don't know how we got here. Like, there is a complete disconnect from life as itself. And then what do I do next is probably the next. Like, those 3 questions, you're sort of standing there going, how did I get here? Who am I? And what do I do now? Because there's no connection between them. And when if you're at that point, I feel like I'm talking in circles, but if you're at that point where, what do I do next? That's the tipping point. That's the point where you get to go, hang on a minute, I want to do this differently. And that's where a lot of women will go, oh no, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Or, when I was 20 kilos lighter and I was this shape before I had children, that's what I'm going to do. That's where I'm going to go. So you'll generally see most women hanging out in gyms because they're trying to get back to what they were before, because in their heads, they were okay then. So if I go back there, I'll be okay. No.
So they're not looking forward or creating the forward, because I know you've said that to me too, create forward, that's what you don't look back, just, And I hear the same thing often, especially in the physical space that I work in, is they remembered that time to be a good time. So I don't think it's even the thing that they were doing at that time, but they remember that being a good time of life, and they want that. They want that girl that was having that fun at that time.
But it's not
unfortunately, I do think that they want the body as well, which is fine. But, I think, like you and me, we encourage you to look at where are you now, and let's work with where you're at now. Start meeting yourself now in this space. Don't worry about, it's irrelevant what it used to be. What can we do now? What do you want now? What can we do now? What can you change easily now that will make you feel happy? So, but I think you're right. If you can't picture a vision of where you're going, then you're going to try and look back, aren't you?
And I think this is the hard thing. We don't have enough right now. We don't have enough. I'm going to use the word role models because I can't think of another one. But we don't have enough healthy, and I'm talking healthy in mind, body, spirit, not just
Yes.
body wise.
Yeah.
I'm putting that across the board. We don't have enough healthy role models to be able to go, oh, well, that's what it looks like. Like, we're starting to get a few.
Yeah.
Like, you've got your Jamie Lee Curtis,
Helen Mirren and all these
yeah,
kick-ass women.
yeah.
You may relate
But
to them or may not, because obviously they're not in our world, but there is women out there that are doing it well, and not giving a damn about what people think, and are still smashing it no matter their age, which I think is, like you said, we need those women to pave the way.
We need more, though. We need more that will stand there and go, hang on a minute, I choose me. I actually choose me, and that's not wrong. It's not selfish.
And acceptance, you think that's important too, right? Acceptance is super important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because we're here. This is where we are. Whether we like it or not, kicking and screaming or embracing and walking forwards. You can choose. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a challenge. And there will be moments. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to paint this with sunshine and freaking rainbows. It's a challenge. Yeah. You know, I remember my coach. My son had just started prep. So we just started prep. I remember reaching out to her and going, I'm not coping. I don't, like, I'm complete. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how I got where I was, and I didn't know what came next. And I remember about 12 months after seeing her, and I remember her saying to me, you need to block out an afternoon a week. And I just looked at her, I went, I can't do that. I've got 4 children. You don't know what I have to go through. You don't know what my life looks like. And I remember her saying to me, if you don't take half an hour off, an afternoon off a week, you are going to have a breakdown. And I looked at her, I went, no, I won't. I'm a strong, independent woman. I'm fine. I can get through.
Yes.
It was the best thing she could ever have told me.
Yeah. You can get through, but you may not be in much shape afterwards. It may take a long time to recover, which is what I've found. It's taken a long time to recover physically and mentally. You can push on and you can get through. You can do anything, right? But to your detriment.
Correct. And that's exactly what is happening. It's to our own detriment that we are getting through. Anyway, that's a rant for another day.
Yeah, there's lots we can talk on that. But no, that's really great. That's really beautiful. I think that's just taking that, and it is space and time to find yourself again, right? And that's would you say that's by choosing things that you like to do, like choosing things? Is it as simple as that, or not really? It's just having that awareness.
It can be as simple as choosing to journal for half an hour every morning. It can be as simple as taking your coffee outside. It can be as simple as deciding to join the gym. Just let me caveat this, though, to join the gym for yourself, not for the outcome.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as choosing to have regular energy sessions. Like, it's choosing you. It's choosing you in that moment and going, hang on, I need something. And it's not about self-care. Like, self-care is a completely different ballgame. This is about choosing you and making a conscious choice. So for me, a regular thing, I haven't been doing it the last couple of days because my son's got COVID and we're all unwell here. But, I journal for 10 to 15 minutes every morning, and then I do my yoga salute to the sun. That is consciously choosing me, because I know that my salute to the sun is physically good for my body. My journaling is good for my mental health as well as my energetic frequency. So that's what I do. I eat a beautiful breakfast every morning. Do I eat the same thing? Most days. But I know it nourishes my body. I feel good.
Yeah.
So that is choosing
That's
you. Does that make
connecting.
sense?
Yeah,
Like,
it's connecting you back in, isn't it? Every morning you
yes,
connect back into yourself. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, that was a lot, wasn't it? But there is
I
a lot to
know.
say on this topic. There's a lot to say on this topic of midlife because we're
Yeah.
all experiencing such different ways, and our awareness
Yes.
levels are probably all very similar, where we've grown up watching our parents smash themselves out and being ignored and being fobbed off, and you know, they've done a great job, but they kind of suffered, I think.
Yes. Yes.
So we don't, like you
Agree.
say, we don't have a lot of role modeling that is in
Mhm.
the positive. It's been given to us in a more of a negative. So it's good that we're changing this
Yeah.
whole conversation, and I see lots of conversation, but I love the energy work that you do. I love the fact that you're able to pull threads and then unravel some of the things that are really in the way of you being the best, you know, getting the best out of your life, your potential, seeing the potential of each person, you know, like of yourself, and seeing the way you, because I think the way you look at yourself, the way that you think about yourself, because I know in the health and fitness area, that is a really hard thing to change, is how you see yourself. And that is the thing that actually almost dictates how you treat yourself. In my eyes, what I see is, once I can get them to acknowledge and see that they're treating themselves a certain way or thinking of themselves in a certain way, it can open up. I assume it's very similar in the energy space, and I have worked a lot with you in the energy space for myself, and will continue to do so, because it's important to me to have that holistic vision and view of myself, not just, you know, looking after everybody. So do you want to tell us about the circles? Now, Katya lives over the other side of Melbourne. A lot of the work is done online, the energy work, but facilitating the circles, women's circles, that's done locally where she lives in Melbourne's east. Is that, would you say it's east?
Yes, I am east. Yes. Yeah.
Out near the mountains, where she walks every day. You'll see her. So Katya's lives every morning. She almost every morning. I don't want to throw you under the bus, throw you under the bus, but nearly every morning she goes for a walk in the forest out near her home. And yeah, just following the Instagram page, which is Midlife at Katya. Katya's got some wonderful resources that, please message Katya if you've got some things you want to ask. Follow along on the Facebook group, which is Midlife with Katya as well. So it's easier to find, easy to find. Anything you want to add, Katya, on what you're doing at the moment, or working on, or
how you want to... Probably what I would love to sort of just leave everybody with is that every woman will go through this phase. You are not on your own. I do not want you to ever feel like you're on your own. Reach out, talk to people. If you're not getting the answers that feel good for you, try something else. Just keep reaching out, keep doing the things that you're doing. That's why I love women's circles. I know you touched on that. Women's circles are just this beautiful place for women to come together. They bring everything of who they are. And it never ceases to amaze me how one person will bring up a subject and everyone else will go, yeah, because you're not on your own. You're not doing this on your own. So,
it can feel quite isolating, can't it?
100%.
Mind like women that know how to have a laugh about stuff and still support you at the same time. Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
Definitely.
Absolutely agree.
Community is everything, isn't it?
Community is key. Is probably one of the things. Community is key. And we don't have community at the moment because everything's online and we've separated. You know, those women 200 years ago, they had a community. You know, if you had this wise woman or wise women at the top, and then you had your nurturers and you had your wild women down the bottom, like not at the bottom, but you had your wild women as well. And that community feel I remember reading an article, and when washing machines were invented, that the rate of depression in women skyrocketed. And the reason
Really?
was, yeah, because they weren't gathering around,
Oh.
like, just for
Yeah, it
instance,
was.
you know, they had the well, they weren't gathering because the washing machine was invented. They were all in their own homes, so they weren't having that time. As women, as feminine core beings, we need to gather. We need community. It is essential for us. The society we have at the moment has separated everybody so much. We've lost it. So
Yeah,
find your community.
yeah. I think that's almost a fourth pillar, a fifth pillar. Gather.
Gather.
Yeah, gathering.
It is.
It is.
It's essential.
Well, let's talk about
It's
the
essential.
the blue zones. You've heard about the blue zones on Earth where people are living longer and happier. And one of the things that they found was connection, right? So they were moving because they were dancing or whatever. They were moving their body. But the most important thing, and they say that with depression as well, in older people, like, is the connection. That is the thing that helps us stay healthy as human beings. Is and live longer and happier is connection. Without that, we're not meant to be alone. We're not meant to be. So that's really good. That is really helpful, actually. So finding your tribe, finding the things you love to do. Challenge the norm. Challenge the crappy thoughts. You know, the things that you've told yourself. Challenge them. Say, you know, ask, is it true? Challenge those. Challenge the norm. Go find some things that you would love to try, and maybe if you need to be braver, grab a friend or something like that. Find a way to it's very much midlife's very much I won't say awakening, but a reinvention. Like, it is
reinventing.
It's very rewarding in that regard, where you go, I don't care what people think anymore. I don't want to hang out with those people that I don't love spending time with. Like, I think there's also this really big, I'll call it an upgrade. So I'm reading a book at the moment on what happens with women's brains in menopause. They're calling it an upgrade rather than menopause, right? Because we become a bit more, I think we do become stronger, but we also go, I don't want to do that. That doesn't feel good for me. I don't want to say yes to that when I really don't want to do it. I think there is another awareness that comes through where you just question more. Do you agree? Like, you think, I don't want to do that. I don't want to stay out late anymore. I don't want to, you know, I think there's an upswing on this where it's, there is a growth happening in our mind, in our body, where we just we know what we don't want. Maybe that's easier to start with. You know what you don't want. If you don't know what you want, start with, because you're going to sure as hell know what you don't want.
You do.
So I think that's a really good benefit of midlife, as well as that awakening where you go, stuff that. I don't care what they think, or I don't want to do that anymore. And I think that's a good thing, where we become more savvy with our time, where we're spending it, who we're giving it to, our worthiness, whether we're, you know, we stop questioning whether we're worthy. I hope we do anyway. I'm still working on that, but, you know, that's a ongoing human condition, I think, for women, just always questioning their worthiness. But I think from an energetic, like I said, spiritual and energetic, there's a total awakening where you just, I don't know what happens. I don't know how you describe that, but there is certainly a change where you just go, I don't care. Like, I don't care anymore. And I'm not doing that.
It stops being about everybody else, and it starts being about you and who you are. And you start to look around you and go, no, not available for that. Not available for that. I did a podcast on that, actually. Not available for that. It's a good one.
Podcaster too. I forgot to tell everyone, Midlife.
No, I just thought of it. Just thought of it then. So, it's, you start to decide what you're not available for, and it's totally okay. And will life change? Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely it
things
will.
have changed. Things have changed, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rather than
Yep.
always looking at the things you don't like that's changing in you, there are certainly some things that, like your people pleasing, your perfectionism, all the other things that you were worried about showing up in a certain way because people are going to judge you, all this stuff that you worried about when you were younger, you do get to a point you go, I don't care. So there
Don't care.
is like this total lift of the
Yep.
veil, if you like, which I think is an unexpected benefit of midlife,
Yep.
and maybe women that are on, you know, that are older than even up than me. I'm in my mid-50s. You know, there's probably women that are older are going, yes, that is exactly what happens. You just don't have
Yep.
time for bullshit. Don't have
No,
time, no
no,
inclination for bullshit. Yeah.
no, your bullshit radar is really finely tuned, and you just look and go, nope.
Yeah. Yeah, no fake, no fake stuff, no bullshit, not wasting time on
No,
that. Yeah, I
no.
think that's a really important thing to
Yeah,
end on. I think that there's
yeah.
some really good stuff going on. It's not doom and gloom. It's
No,
just moving through it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. And thank you. I just want to quickly say thank you to you for having me. I really, really
All
do
good.
appreciate it. I am super, super passionate about this stuff. And, just being able to be presented to your audience, I really do appreciate it.
I
So
think we need to
thank you.
talk about it a lot more. And
Okay.
that's right. It's a pleasure as usual to spend time chatting to you. And Katya does have a podcast as well. Forgot about that. But go follow her because it's just such a great conversation, and such a great topic that it really does lift your spirit. And that's what we need. We need
It
more of
does.
lifting the vibration and the frequency of this planet at the moment. We need more goodness. We need more love. Yeah, go follow. All right. Thank you for joining us. That was really beautiful.
Yeah.
And let's share that everywhere we can. Share this
Yes.
message everywhere we can. And we'll talk soon.
No worries. Thanks, Leanne.
Okay. See you, honey. Bye.
Bye.